Hi, welcome to SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is Into the Weekend with Bet DSI, the call we do every week with Brent, the headlines manager at DSI Sportsbook, where he gives us a glimpse into some of the action that he's seeing, sharp action, public action, and volume. Today is March 22nd. It's the Friday. We're in the middle of March Madness. I'm going nuts. Brent's going nuts. Brent, thanks for being here with us once again.
In the middle of madness, but it's still good to be on, Peter.
Yeah, it is. The middle of madness. God, Brent, I got screwed by the second half under in the Cincinnati game, but I think I'm going to get it back if Colorado wins the second half money line.
Well, I'm feeling sharp all of a sudden because I was on the same side there.
Yeah,
I was on the under as well.
Good. All right, so it's Friday. Let's talk about, I guess we're going to talk about the lines that are out for Saturday. You've already gotten some action on that, and I guess we can talk about the action that you saw in the first two rounds. What were some of the sharp plays that you got in the first two rounds?
One of the sharpest plays we had was Michigan State. That was a real, a real sharp play, and that was actually a good result for us. They just barely covered that one, but the line dropped. Valpo was getting a lot of support, but Michigan State looked real strong, and they were up by I think 17 at the half, and they didn't win the second half, I don't think, but they ended up covering nonetheless.
So, are you going to get sharp action on Michigan State in their game tomorrow then?
What we've had actually so far, if you want to
Yes.
jump ahead to Michigan State's next game, which is Saturday, they're playing East Memphis. So far, the count and money actually is all over Michigan State, but it's not sharp money. It's public money here. The count actually is about 3 times more in favor of Michigan State, and the money's about 5 times more in terms of Michigan State. We're at 5.5 right now. They started betting us at 4.5 and 5, Peter.
Wow. Well, that makes, I guess when you look at the first two games of Memphis and Michigan State, that would make some sense. All right, but yeah, before we get into the rest of the games, just tell us quickly what were some, just for people who might be interested, what were some of the notably sharp sides you saw from the first round?
Well, today Wisconsin was a real sharp play. That line went from 4.5 all the way up to 6. We had sharp money on Wisconsin. We had public money on Wisconsin. Everyone really liked Wisconsin, but Mississippi took care of that one for us. So that was a really good result for us. Wow. As I mentioned, Michigan State was quite a sharp play. We've actually had a pretty decent tournament so far. I mean, Butler on Thursday was not very good for us, but then again, Davidson coming as close as they did was real good. Of course, if they won that one outright, would have been better for us. And California, that was real good for us against UNLV. Then again, you got Oregon, which was real bad. I know, the Oregon State line. We actually took some sharp action on Oklahoma State -3. The line went up to 3.5. Ended up dropping down to 2, and a lot of people were on Oregon, and they won that one outright. So that wasn't as good for us. And Syracuse blowing out Montana, not good at all. So I mean, you can kind of figure out, pick your way,
Right.
back and forth in terms of where the sharp money came, where the public money came. We've got a good split with the Villanova North Carolina game today. But generally speaking, our action's been really, really good. We haven't had any monster decisions so far, which is nice. It's kind of where you want to be. When we do have decisions, stuff like Harvard exactly was a good side for us. Not a whole lot of people are going to be betting on Harvard in basketball. As a general rule, we've had really good action so far in the tournament, Peter.
All right. Sounds like the sharps aren't doing that well then so far.
No, they haven't really blown us out of the water. Yesterday, that would be Thursday, we had a lot of sharps playing the unders in the first half and the games, and they did pretty well. They picked their spots quite well. Today, it's been pretty much split in terms of whether they're playing overs and unders, but Thursday was definitely an under day, and the sharps were on those ones.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about some of the upcoming Saturday games. I mean, Louisville, Colorado State. Louisville's a 10.5-point favorite over Colorado State. I know they were the favorite to win the tournament, pre-tournament. I don't know what I would guess the action would be. I'm guessing that you haven't seen much action on that game so far.
Yeah, you're bang on there, Peter.
Yeah.
Not much action at all, which is kind of surprising. And I mean, right now we're taking a lot of sharp action here and there, which is moving numbers. But that game we've just seen, that was probably that and the Harvard Arizona game are probably the two games we've seen at least action on so far. Just not a lot going on with that game.
That's a little interesting because I would expect that after Harvard's first game, you might get some sharp action. They're getting 10 again.
No, right now, actually, I mean, if I look at the count and the money, it actually slightly favors Arizona right now. But again, we're talking about real small volume so far.
Right. Okay, and then what about the VCU-Michigan game? Everyone remembers VCU. They're a phenomenal run a few years ago, and they got an easy win, but, against Akron was super short-handed. Now they're getting a ton of respect on this line. They're only getting 3 points to Michigan.
The reason they're only getting 3 now is the sharps were all over VCOM early. I actually took sharp money VCOM plus 3.5, and when it was at 3.5, another guy actually bought a point to 4.5, laying minus 130. VCOM is probably one of the sharpest plays on the board right now, Peter. I've got public money in favor of Michigan. The count's probably 2-1 in their favor, but the action from the dollar volume is balanced really nicely. We've had a ton of action on this game, and this is when we talk about in football season. Sometimes we get very sharp public and sharp splits. This is one of those cases where I got a lot of public money on Michigan, and the sharps really, really like VCOM.
Well, there you go. Sharp public split favoring VCU. And then what about the Gonzaga game? Everyone probably saw, the public was probably seeing Gonzaga struggling in the first game. They saw a good win by Wichita State. Is the public betting that at all?
Not a ton of action so far. I mean, the money does favor Gonzaga. The count favors Gonzaga, but it's pretty much close at this point. Not a real big decision either way. Sitting at Gonzaga 6.5, the total of 128.5. But so far, not a whole lot of sharp action involved either way, and the public either. They're pretty much split right now.
Okay, and then is there anything else you can tell us about possible sharp or public action from the Saturday games?
Well, this is a definite sharp play right now with St. Louis, Peter.
Really?
We've got St. Louis minus 3.5. They're playing against Oregon. We've got a very, very big chart on this right now. We've got a lot of money on St. Louis. The count favors St. Louis. So public's on them, and the sharps as well. They really like St. Louis minus 3. Lines at 3.5 right now.
Yeah, I mean, St. Louis has covered like 17 out of their last 18 games or something. This might be it's like Northwestern in college football this past year. This might be one of those games where it's like the sharps and the public are going to be on St. Louis. There's nothing you can do about it unless you move the...
Yeah, I mean, right now we're at 3.5. We're kind of trying to drum up some support for Oregon, see if we have to go to 4. But the sharps were very definite in their support for St. Louis when it was at 3. And I also have some actually sharp money on the total there. We got money on the under 125. Lines at 124 right now, so it hasn't moved a ton. But one of the sharpest guys we have in terms of totals played that game under. He also played the Arizona-Harvard game under. That was under 134. We're sitting at 132 right now. And I know we already touched on the Memphis-Michigan State game, but the over in that game also got sharp support, Peter.
Okay, well, great info. Once again, Brent, I appreciate you giving us everything that you got. You can't give us anything on the Sunday games right now, of course, because the matchups and lines haven't been determined yet, but appreciate it so much. We'll talk to you again next week.